to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society, I'm against.
But
I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and some emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago.
You sell an image of success.
Disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
You sell an image of financial success with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
I am asking you about things that you have said that have caused major...
Watching in real time the persecution of Andrew Tate, not the prosecution, hasn't even started yet. By the way, welcome to the Glen Zone Studios with, of course, the mighty Big Alex, my partner in crime here. And with us today, we also have Andre Cadet. He is very, very sharp, and, you know, we're lucky to have him here. This is going to be, we're going to be holding court today with three wolves, actually.
Thank you for a wonderful introduction, Glenn. And yes, Andre Carteret with us in the studio. Andre, how are you today?
Pretty good. How are you fellows doing?
Thank you for coming here and for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and your passion and your energy for what does it mean to be a man? I mean, there's a movie out there, What is a Woman? And that's a conflicting question for a lot of the people in our society. But I think the foundation, the fact that we have to ask this question is because we forgot what being a man is. And people like Andrew Tate paint a huge target on their chest. You may disagree with him on certain issues, but he's definitely a man. You cannot take away that from him, and he teaches there's some aspects of him that were questionable. Maybe the fact that he exposed himself by having those questionable relationships with the women specifically. I think he did some camp shows earlier. That's how he built some of his empire, and also, you know, using the language and et cetera, et cetera. That's why don't expose yourself to the enemy. Don't give enemy any leeway. Like, always stay straight, stay as focused as you can. And that's why it's important to stay off drugs and alcohol and be disciplined and be impeccable and righteous in everything you do, your thoughts, your words, and your actions. But it is a persecution. And now the story is, Glenn, he is being finally actually charged and charged with a crime.
Yeah, they kept him in jail for 3 months to try and accuse him of something while they were doing the investigation. You know, it used to be a time when you were innocent and they had to prove you guilty, but now you're guilty and they just want to find something to lay on you so that they can come and get you right away, and you have to fight yourself later on. So we have a reversal of things that are going on. Listen, Andrew Tate is very divisionary when it comes to the way people look. I understand why he was appealing to young men who seem to be a little bit lost in today's society. One of the things myself about Andrew Tate, I agree with a lot of the things he believes in and what he says. It's just how he says it. And I understand why he did that. That was just to create more sensationalism, to drive more people. In other words, he is a marketing genius. And it just drove more people to his attention and his the awareness that he wanted to put out there. Some of the things I didn't agree with was the persistent swearing, you know, and the... they call it misogynist, but his negative talk towards women. You know, women, there's a negative thing about feminism. For feminism was just a necessary thing to come in to fill in the void created by men not being men anymore. It was a necessary evil. But now that's being exposed, and we're in the process of reversing, and we're getting back to good the way the Creator wanted it.
Excellent. You know, the double standard in the society, and we're gonna tune into Tucker. You know how Tucker always plays our clips on his show, guys? You ever see that? He always plays Alex Astro clips. Thank you, Tucker. We are so thankful. So we're gonna play him too. But This story is overshadowed by another story. Hunter Biden is to plead guilty. And he pleads guilty on what? On tax counts and one gun charge. We know there is a lot of evidence of him from his laptop, which was supposed to be a Russian hoax, and we get to it in a minute. That laptop has evidence, a lot of like child sex trafficking and prostitution, and definitely sex trafficking with like prostitutes from Ukraine or other. I don't even actually know the whole thing, and him doing drugs openly on video and sending it out. He's smoking crack on video. That's not a crime, but he pleads guilty. He's such a good man. He stands up. He's a righteous man. Let's listen to what Tucker has to say about this real quick.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. This spring, word began to circulate in Washington that the House Oversight Committee, under its new chairman, Congressman Jamie Comer, had discovered criminal behavior after reviewing thousands of pages of the Biden family's bank records. Now, publicly, to the extent they responded at all, the White House dismissed the investigation as, of course, politically motivated. In any case, irrelevant. Hunter Biden was an adult, so his business dealings had nothing at all to do with his father, in this case, the President of the United States. But in private, everybody understood it wasn't quite that simple. There has long been overwhelming evidence that Joe and Hunter Biden's financial lives are not separate at all, but deeply intertwined. On Hunter Biden's laptop, there's a suggestion that the two of them even at one point shared a bank account. And of course, Hunter Biden wrote himself that he kicked back cash from his foreign business deals to his father. He wrote that bitterly. So the Oversight Committee's investigation was potentially a disaster for the White House, a scandal, possibly even the prelude to criminal charges. So in order to get ahead of all of that, Joe Biden's handlers did the one thing they could do. They set up an MSNBC interview to preemptively whitewash whatever Jamie Comer might find. Here's the results of that. This aired on May 5th.
Sir, there is something personal that's affecting you. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. How will that impact your presidency?
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him.
Okay, time for the master class. For free, you can audit it. Here it goes. Sir, showing appropriate respect, says the shill, there is something personal that's affecting you. Note the wording.
Yeah, remember, okay, brothers and sisters, Tucker is very entertaining, but let's go and remember the debates that they had for presidents in 2020? I have a video of this.
Let me ask some follow-up. Please respond, and then we're going to have follow-up questions.
If this stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody.
Hey, President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race.
Yeah.
President Trump,
a race for the truth.
Please,
because look,
very quick.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA.
Okay, when you don't know where to go in politics, always blame Russia. Always blame Russia. Like if you're ever accused of something that you don't have an answer for, just say it's the Russian hoax. And here being unofficial Russian bot, I'm going to tell you it's going to always work.
When Trump was exposing him, I don't know if you saw the eyes on him, but the truth hurts. And Mr. Biden, the resident of the White House right now, he was in a very painful situation there. And what did he do? Oh yeah, you got to blame the Russians.
Well, that's that's also the drugs, and he has the best drugs the White House can afford at this point. Also, he's so corrupt. When people tell you who they are, listen. Like he actually admits how corrupt he is. He held Ukrainian then government when he was a vice president. He held them hostage from receiving U.S. taxpayer money unless they would address the Ukrainian prosecutor that would expose the corruption in Ukraine. Watch this.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against.
By the way, that's Council on Foreign Relations.
Head office in New York. Same thing with the Council on Foreign Relations and of course
UN.
United Nations.
The state prosecutor. He said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. Trying to intimidate a foreign leader. I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch.
He's proud of it.
He's proud, yeah.
It's like, this is time-stamped. It's just ridiculous. And with the 50 heads of the intelligence community, that's like
that's a make-believe story. Yeah.
Affording that kind of gaslighting. Usually it's like, it's not just me that doesn't like you. It's everybody else in the room. Your whole family doesn't like you. This guy sets up all these intelligence and he said, actually did sign off on this at that time.
But, okay, so Tate, he already been to jail. He already spent how many months? 3 months?
3 months.
92 days or something like that.
92 days. And that's not even his sentence yet. We don't know like if he actually going to be sentenced or not. This is what they talking about, his proposed sentence, Biden's proposed sentence in U.S.
According to our sources, this U.S. attorney has agreed to recommend to the judge that Biden receive a sentence of probation, so no jail for those tax misdemeanor charges.
Oh, what about the gun charge?
What about the crack charges, the underage? How about the big guy? Everybody's coming up with a big guy. When are they going to start using or using the clips of pedo Peter, him referring to his own father in those communications on his laptop? Pedo Peter. That's coming up soon, hopefully.
Well, he did take showers with his daughter, didn't he?
Well, yes, and apparently that's just the tip of the iceberg, unfortunately.
Here's Trump's reaction to all of this.
Tucker Carlson, a very good guy, is exactly right. The number one reason the totally corrupt Biden administration and the sick Washington establishment are after me is because I stand up to their failed foreign policy agenda. The one thing Washington cannot forgive is that I put America first, always put America
Okay, I question this right away. Andre, since you're a newbie to our show, I'm going to put you on the spot. How you feel about Trump? Is he the savior that he is presented to be by many, or he's just a pawn?
I believe he's just a pawn. Again, it's the Overton window, the left and right binary, and this is what people are able to digest. So this is what's presented to them. I didn't like Trump going in, and like everybody else, we started listening to him. If somebody in my 20s, when I was an activist and kind of militant in a lot of these environmental causes and whatnot, would have told me then that a sitting president would say that he would be draining the swamp, I don't care who it is. I just never would have thought that would have happened. So the day that he actually said that, at first, I'm still surprised that he's alive, even though they're trying to kill his quality of life by using and weaponizing the judicial on him. But that's who Trump is to me. He's an arrogant, pompous, rich Republican. But at the end of the day, I don't believe in moral absolutism. I believe in the fallibility of men and to take the good with the good and leave out the bad. And him saying, I will drain the swamp, would have quelled and eased me in my 20s, knowing that something's coming up where other people see what the rest of us are seeing. And he became public enemy number one after that day. And I think there's another montage about that Tucker did the day that he actually became the public enemy to the deep state, meaning just the career bureaucrats that have been there since, that's the only thing they know. They're holding on to power. So that's who Orange Man is to me. Orange Man bad. There's a psyops, and Trump is Trump. He's a misogynist. There's no, grab her by the was a t-shirt they made when he was running, and like everybody else, I was just laughing at the reality that we're living in at this point.
And about draining the swamp, and he was threatening Hillary to go to jail. You'll be in jail if I'm a president. Well, that's the thing. Did anybody go to jail? What swamp did he actually drain? I mean, few people lost their job here and there for sure, but did he actually did he remove people like BlackRock? Is BlackRock still a corporation that runs the world, not just United States? No, of course not.
Taking the good with the good, Putin said it as far as what happens to presidents when they get to go into the White House. RFK just brought it up again. They just get sat down and all their great ideological things that they think they're going to change in Washington, they get put in check. And then after a while, they start enacting their only power moves that they have. And right now we're seeing the weaponization of the judicial against Trump, against Tate, against Julian Assange, against a bunch of prominent people that are just trying to get the truth out there. So draining that swamp, it's we'll see where it takes them. But at this point, it's I don't know. Trump's a character.
Actually, the biggest question I think I have in terms of this, like when the whole plane gimmick happened, the people like Fauci was still in office, right? For example, Dr. Briggs, whatever her name was, she was still running the things, like he
could have fired all of them.
Yeah, he could have fired all of them. But also, I do remember the warp speed, right? He also gave permission to all the states, including Florida.
He became a vaccine salesman. Still today, he's proud of that. He's proud of his rollout.
Okay, let's watch this. He was on Fox News being interviewed, and that's the question they asked him. I don't want to talk, and he said, "I don't want to talk about COVID vaccines because because Republicans hate it." Let's just see this really quick.
On COVID, in your mind, did the COVID vaccine work?
It's such an interesting question.
It is.
Because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world. We did a tremendous job on that. But we had a vaccine. Now you have different. You have different COVIDs. You had COVID-19, and then you have different COVIDs. But we had original was COVID-19, which was the roughest one. So I have a Democrat friend who's very smart. Hopefully he votes for me, but he's very smart. He said, I don't understand one thing about you. I watch your rallies. They're incredible. You talk about beating ISIS. You talk about taxes. You talk about regulation. You talk about everything. But you never said that. I've never heard you talk about how the incredible job you did with the vaccines, because as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass. Okay?
Yeah,
and you know who doesn't like me too much? The F.
And isn't it? Andre, go ahead, take that.
Well, he started his presidency, and a lot of us that have been kind of aware of the ingredients in vaccines. His son's on the spectrum, if I'm not mistaken. He first initially said he was going to have a commission that RFK was going to be heading as far as just the vaccine safety, just the basics and covering the basics. And then he went from that to this, where he wants his legacy to be that he put as many shots as possible in people's arms. So in hindsight, I don't know how history is going to perceive that.
He also gave $18 billion to pharma.
Yeah, at the end of the day, when we know what it's doing now, again, the insurance industry doesn't lie. The actuarial report that came out from that industry and showing all the sudden adult death syndrome. People didn't bat an eye with sudden infant death syndrome from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. We're not batting an eye with the SADS numbers. But at the end of the day, these numbers are going to be affecting the life expectancy statistics. Life expectancy statistics affects after that retirement and pension plans. France has been burning for months, and that question we should be asking ourselves here right now as far as the feasibility of all that, considering the changing landscape, the socioeconomic landscape, without even mentioning the inflation that's incurred from these spendings to pharma companies and free money from government that also Trump was an advocate of when he was in office.
Well, it's like our friend Nick says, it's really what we experience in there is harm reduction theory. Instead of raising the quality of life for everybody, let's just ruin it for everybody. Separation, kill the middle class, make the poor people even poorer, and get the richest richer. And, Glenn, you want to say something?
Yeah, it sounds like a part of the Great Reset and, population control. There's a lot of people who really shouldn't be here anymore, actually. And this was one of their ways of getting rid of them. They did one evil job with it when it came to the retirement homes. They took out a lot of people that way. And so, but also when it comes to Trump, he could be playing a part in increasing the awareness level of Mr. and Mrs. Average. And this is done purposely and very slowly and meticulously to provide for a better future. Because if things kept going the way they were here in the West, and as we see, it seems to be speeded up a little bit with all this mental insanity with the LGBTQ Fruit Loop Soup group, then we're getting close to some type of reset. It's at our door because everything is coming here at the same time, and that's all for distractionary purpose, by the way.
And it's clear too is that it is too low a quality of life, and it's we thought we live in the first world country, and everybody who lives here and rarely ventures out, it just goes on vacations, but actually doesn't actually live in other places. It doesn't know the laws and cultures and traditions and environments in general. They consider to live in a democratic kind of fair environment. But you could ask people like Kodak Blacks. Who's Kodak Black? Andre?
Southern rapper from Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
That's your favorite, right?
No, I can't say that.
How many albums do you have?
I don't have one.
Do you have them on the playlist?
I have an issue with mumble rappers in general.
Oh, the fact that you know who that is, you just put, you just exposed yourself to the audience.
Yeah, I guess I did. But no, I got, other than the fact that this guy probably does feel the pain of being treated like a second-class citizen when viewed upon by the judicial, hopefully more come out that have a better standing with me, then I'll be able to back their cause.
Well, yeah, his lawyer is upset that he reacted on social media Tuesday to news that President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, would likely avoid jail time for crimes similar to that, which saw his own client sentenced to prison. Well, I have, there's a suggestion. He should have painted his face white and be like, he's Kodak Black. He should have been Kodak White, and maybe he would have went through it like a white face. Like we should have done opposite to what Justin Trudeau did here. Justin
Which
Trudeau.
time?
Well, I have a theory there. He's not necessarily trying to be racist. He's just trying to blend in. Like he wears the outfits like when he goes to different countries and to adhere to their traditions and all that stuff. I think that's just his way of being more diverse. That's before all the cultural appropriation things happening, though, I believe that's happening. So yes, this is in the news, and we're going to keep you posted on the Hunter story. But in my opinion, it's all a puff piece. It's like it's a preemptive action by them. Like, okay, let's get a slap on the wrist. Okay, look, we handled this. We got rid of the issues. Let's not dig deeper into bribery, because if it does, then you have to actually look into Joe himself. I think that's what's happening.
Let's sticking on this Kodak Black. They call it self-snitching, and they had the hip hop police after these artists on social medias that just follow them, just to be able to find things that could incriminate them. Meanwhile, they're sitting on a laptop for how many years, and you actually have felonies on there. This guy's able to plea and just plead guilty, try to put it under the rug. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's interesting.
No wonder the average person has lost faith in the judicial system. Just us. Yeah, just us, a different law for us, and just them. Easy law for them, like circumvent it, pay off this, that, okay, I get out of jail free card for, doing the same thing that anybody in this room here would be doing serious time for.
Looking at that with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, we still don't have a list. How did that guy get acquitted? It's...
Yeah, and what's her name? Maxwell, right? She trafficked...
To who?
To who? She just trafficked. She just got girls in the car, and she went for a ride on 95. Right? That's what trafficking is. That's the new thing. You just go in the car and drive around the city on the belt, during the rush hour. A beltway, right? The Washington Beltway. Mm-hmm. So speaking of Washington Beltway, there is no respect for U.S. anymore. And Biden has a nerve after the story that we just tell you, like, in the videos that we just showed you, how he's basically a bully and a dictator in his own country, where he can get away with nepotism and cronyism and all this other stuff. He gets to call out China-sized dictator. No doubt he is. No doubt he is, brothers and sisters. But then who isn't in the Western democracy? All those people like Trudeau and Arden and Boris Johnson and Biden, all those people that locked up countries and told you that you have to wear a mask and not go anywhere because you will kill somebody because science, and other things, do it for the greater good. And the next thing, climate change and 15-minute cities and all this other stuff. That's not dictatorship, right? But he had a nerve to do this to Chinese counterpart. But now people don't respect U.S. anymore, I guess. And they're like, yo, hold your horses. What did you just say? What did you call me?
I think it's getting really tangible for this being a movie. You can't help but want to see bricks come and just demolish this long-standing order that's just so arrogant and being laughed at now worldwide. There's perceptions in the media, but for me, it's socioeconomics and finances talks a great deal. And when we're seeing BRICS do what they've been doing for the past couple of months, and now they're pulling forward in the next couple of weeks, and I think Len mentioned for August, or I'm not too sure, but for sure in the upcoming months, and then people are going to see what that hegemony that's going to be destroyed with the USD is going to, it's only the beginning.
This is just after you had Secretary of State Blinky, over there trying to control things or run things or mitigate damage control. And here we have this picture of Blinken is his real name, but Blinky looks like he's folding over like a cheap suit here compared to President Z.
Looks like damage has been done there.
What kind of damage are you referring to, Andre?
I let you fill in the blanks, or he just shot himself. I don't know. Well, something there is just that body language doesn't lie.
Yeah, the body language speaks everything. And Sai his body language is like, I don't care. I got him by the balls. Literally, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, you know something, champ? But we were talking about Trump before. All this would be very different under him. When Trump was in office for 4 years, we had no real wars, no big foreign entanglements. We were getting along with North Korea. The Syria thing was coming to an end. There was no problem in Ukraine. Putin had positive things to say about Trump. Xi had a lot of positive things to say about Trump. When you had Trudeau go over to India and make a complete fool of himself, looking like Mr. Dress Up, and the people in India just wanted him flushed out of there right away. And then you had Trump go over to India, and it was like a fan following. The people just fell in line, and they loved him. So I don't know what the media is portraying in the minds here in the West. Well, we do know what it is portraying, but the reality is what they're portraying and the truth on the ground is vastly different.
The fact that we still have a sitting prime minister with Trudeau that actually praised China and their way of operating and using their basic dictatorship, and the fact that he's still governing us, to me, is it's mind-blowing, at least to see where we're from, the Anglos. No matter what, we'll be voting this guy, and it blows my mind.
That was just incredible, Trudeau.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's amazing. You guys, a week ago, we talked about how Cuba is actually being accused by U.S. in building having a listening post, a spy listening post, obviously targeting United States. And we know that, remember the Cuban crisis and the nuke weapons in Havana or anywhere all over Cuba, specifically targeting U.S., and it would have been like a 5-minute ride. Right?
They need a landing strip for all those balloons.
Yeah, but I think the air is, maybe they can catch the jet stream. I don't know, actually, the direction of the jet stream. Does it go up north? I don't know. Gulfstream does. But now that Wall Street Journal article claims that China has plans to build a military training facility in Cuba. And why not? The two communist countries, they have relations. What's stopping them? That's their business. Why let them build? How many? Remember the biolabs and training camps they build in Ukraine? How is that different? And actually, all the military bases that U.S. has all over the world, surrounding every single country. What's wrong with this? Good for the goods, cattle black, colon pot, whatever that expression is, goose gander, that kind of thing. What's wrong with that?
Cattle black.
Yeah. What's wrong with all this?
I think the Bay of Pigs was triggered for way less than this, and so it's just amazing to witness.
In terms of all this war action, guys, what do you think about Pentagon and its math practices? The scary part is every time they lose some money, something terrible happens, like 9/11, for example. And now that we discovered that the accounting error associated with the Ukrainian military aid is much greater than it was, and it was already pretty great.
I wonder in whose favor.
Well, glad.
Incredible. You have a big entity like the Pentagon making accounting errors like that. Numbers don't lie. So they lie. And they said the error, they underestimated, and it was by $3 billion. Now they've just reviewed it again, because they never review what they first say. And now it's up to $6.2 billion. So the Pentagon is 0 for 3 in the accounting department. Maybe there's a problem with their calculators, buddy.
Or maybe it's not really a calculator problem. It's something, exposure problem. Maybe, eventually truth will comes out. And the only way to bury it, I remind you, brothers and sisters, Whitewater scandal, Clinton, Oklahoma building, terrorist act, that actually disposed of all the documents that was stored in that federal building. 9/11, as Andre was saying, that the
Pentagon being hit, where they were doing that $10 trillion accounting exercise. One that we didn't mention from 9/11 is Tower 7, and why the necessity of bringing that down. At that time, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but it was WorldCom, Adelphia, and Enron, mostly Enron because it was American. Enron had big ties to the Republican Party, and the investigation for Enron, everything was in Building 7. So that mysteriously disappeared that day as well.
That's a very good point, Andre. I'm glad you're here today.
And all the gold that was in the bottom being stored in the Twin Towers, too, who that mysteriously went missing, and they said, we couldn't find it.
Or it got melted and got drained into a subway system.
We got so many more questions than answers, eh?
Well, the question is $55 billion bailout that the EU is preparing for Kiev. What is it for? Whose pockets are we lining with that? Because we know for a fact that's what it's about. It's a money laundering operation. Investing $55 billion into rebuilding, IMF type of stuff, so they enslave that region more. But who's going to rebuild it, Andre? Would you venture to guess?
I would say American corporations, Carlyle Group, just the regular soup of corporations. They're going to be mandated to re-infrastructure the whole country.
This time, I'm not going to think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be more the East rebuilding Ukraine, showing positive attention to it.
You're not going to stand by your original statement that it's being split, like North Korea, South Korea?
Okay, maybe that. Maybe it would a demilitarized zone in the middle of it. But, I don't know where the euro is getting this money from, because now they're officially in a recession. And the economic engine country of the euro is Germany. It's also in a recession with 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, or non-growth. And so they seem to be printing this money ASAP while it still has value. And this money is being laundered back, and it's being turned into, while it still has value, tangible assets. The money launderers are being paid, and the value is going to the elites, and they're turning this paper value into actual tangible value.
But it's hitting everybody, not just Europe. UK, bailed out of Europe just in time with the Brexit, but they didn't bail out of all this, globalist garbage, and they, pretty deep into it. Look at the UK food costs; they remaining to grow, and people are struggling there. And it's 16% inflation, Glenn? Prices have been falling for the past 3 months, but consumers are still facing grocery inflation over 16%. Of course, because
average is 8.7%, and the interest rate is 6%, and probably going higher. And already the UK is buckling, and it's folding under its own weight of debt. So the future of the UK and the rest of Euro area, and also United States of America, I believe they'll be the last one to come down, and then it'll lead the free world. It'll be the first one to come up. Unfortunately, here in Canada, we're going to feel the brunt of this, and we're going to feel a lot harder than our neighbors to the south.
I have a solution. So first solution, which we're already implementing, is carbon tax, right? This is going to help us all, because that's going to improve the prices in the grocery stores, because, that's what it does. I'd like to sell all the farms to Bill Gates, because he will know what to do with it. And we'll eat crickets. Burn all the forest. That also will increase the carbon tax and put in all the solar panels. What else can we do? Oh, let's sanction Russia. Let's sanction Russia because they're the greatest evil in the world. Hopefully we'll stop the war in Ukraine and maybe we can get the grain back. Oh, no, wait. We're sending them depleted uranium rounds. What does it explode? Oh, on the farmlands that produces 30% to 15% of all the grain of the world. Are you going to eat this, brothers and sisters? Stop eating all the grain. Stop eating all the grain. So I'll say, U.S. extended North Korean sanctions, Glenn.
Yeah, it's time to go on a low-carb diet with all this
quite literally
plutonium-grade weed out there.
The point is, U.S. extends North Korean sanctions. Why? Because North Korean is a dictator and he locked up his own people. What happened to, why don't we arrest Arden? Why don't we arrest, what was the prime minister of Australia that did the same thing? They would have had draconian ones.
He's worth forgetting.
Andrew, whatever his name is.
Andrews,
yeah. So what happened to them? Why don't we sanction Australia, New Zealand, and Canada for that reason? No, they did the same thing.
Strange thing, though. They all did their job, but they're all gone now. So
except Trudeau.
Yeah, he's next.
Oh, no, he's not going. Well, I don't think he's going anywhere because he's the only spokesman for this gay pride thing going on, right? He has to have transgender.
Next month.
He's a pedophile in charge. So here you have to keep. Well, who's a bigger pedophile, guys? Trudeau or Biden?
Ooh, that's a tough one. The pedo draft.
Heads he wins, tails Biden loses. I don't know. They're both pretty.
Who had more rights to Epstein Island, right? That's how you decide that. And no story day could be finished without
Hollywood.
Well, and actually, I think AI is the biggest story for Hollywood right now because that's what the strike is all about. You're right, and this is not really spoken out there like out loud too much because it is kind of scary for the Hollywood industry because. If you guys haven't used ChatGPT or other AI tools, it can write pretty much anything in seconds, including scripts. Actually, for fun of it, I tried to write a script for my friend 2 days ago for her YouTube channel to see if it, and they did a pretty good job. I wouldn't say it was a final product, but it was a draft. And a draft of the movie script can cost anywhere between 60 grand and 200 grand. You know how much rewrite costs? Anywhere between 15 grand and 30 grand, right? So you go to ChatGPT, you get a draft of the movie screen, then bring it to a writer for
a monthly
fracture
fee.
Of the cost. Yeah, fracture of the cost.
But talking about AI, and they're in Congress because Congress is a little bit worried about the power of AI, and they want to put perimeters around it. But I was reading that now AI has been writing papers for itself. Somebody teleprompted it, and they're professional teleprompters. And now the AI has wrote the papers to be able to give to Congress to allow Congress to change the rules that would not censor AI, but put a control mechanism around it. So the AI is actually writing the papers for itself.
So it's negatively lobbying for itself, is that it? I like that.
It's a strange world.
Oh, it's awesome.
And brothers and sisters, the way to keep it less strange is to stay disciplined, right? How do you stay disciplined? We repeat here all the time. It's your own personal discipline practice. Do not rely on anyone for you to be good. You be good. You be good by going to the gym, staying off drugs, alcohol, stay off the porn sites, read the Bible, go to the church, whatever your faith practice is. Be good in your community, eat well, think well, talk well. Your actions should speak for you, not your words. Your actions even more so than your words. And, be righteous, be fair, be kind, be loving, but also be prosperous. Because when you're prosperous and you score, That's when you're also strong. That's when you can impact and influence and share your abundance with other people, not only mentally, spiritual, but also financially. And that's how we grow as a community. We got to stay strong, but we're only as strong as each individual person within our community. So, brothers and sisters, stay strong. Glenn?
Yeah, you started that little rant off with discipline. Discipline is doing what you need to do, not what you want to do. And you do what you need to do, and there's a resistance to doing that a lot of the time because it's usually a little bit harder. But then you start seeing the positive ramifications from being disciplined, and that gives you motivation. Now you're doubling up. You have discipline on one side, and now you're motivated to keep going to change your life. You know, if you really want to change your life, all you have to do is look in the mirror if you're seeking the person who's going to be responsible for changing your life. And when you do that, there's a saying that the teacher will appear when the student is ready. I believe that's how you get the student ready. At the individual level, this is what you have to do.
Truer words were never spoken, fellas. I appreciate you guys. I love your content, and very grateful that you guys are putting out what you guys are putting out. It's desperately needed. And again, we're all on the same side on this. So thanks very much for having me. And please keep doing what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Glenn.
And Andre's coming back
100%.
For many encores, guaranteed.
It's nice of you guys.
Yeah, we got 2 more shows with him, and he's amazing. And Andre, we love you, and we love you, all of you, brothers and sisters. Stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next one.